Good evening, everyone. I'm Jocelyn Delk Adams, author, blogger, and TV personality known for grandbaby cakes. And I am so excited to be partnering with Albertsons this evening to cook along with you. I'm based in Dallas, Texas, and I have a Tom Thumb store right in my neighborhood that I frequent quite often, let me tell you. And I know many of you are tuning in from other places, and you may be quite familiar with other Albertsons stores like Safeway, Jewel Osco, or even Pavilions, just to name a few. But no matter where you choose to shop, your neighborhood store has quality and innovative products to keep your spring menu fresh and interesting, all at a great value. I know some of you are tuning in that are also employees at local stores throughout Texas, and we want to thank you sincerely for everything that you do every single day. So for most of you that are here, you are members of the For You program or the Fresh Pass subscription program at your local neighborhood store. So I know I don't need to tell you about how convenient both of these offerings are, but just as a reminder, For You is such an easy and convenient way to save on the products that you love the most, with new personalized deals each week and rewards that can be used for discounts on groceries and gas. And make sure that you check out that new meal planning feature too, so you can plan, shop, save, and earn all in one place. And for those of you who are a little curious about Fresh Pass, it is a great program, and I encourage you to sign up. It's a paid program that you pay only $99 a year or $12.99 a month, and you get some incredible perks. Like, for instance, all the products we're using today, like O Organics and Open Nature, you get 5% off of those products. You have rewards that don't expire and exclusive access to culinary experiences like this one. Plus, you can shop from the comfort of your couch, and you can go on unlimited free delivery for orders over $30. So that is key. I'm talking about a major win right there. So, as a reminder, at the end of this, Albertsons will be selecting 50 random viewers who stayed until the end of the cook-along, and they will receive a prize, a store-bought gift card, a Grandbaby Cakes cookbook by yours truly, and a kitchen gadget. So you want to make sure that you stay till the end. And I am so excited to get cooking with you, so let's get started. Today, we are going to be making something that I personally love, which is shrimp in grits, okay? But we are going to do it in a lighter way. We are going to be using some ingredients that make this keto friendly and also low carb. So you can feel a little bit better about this recipe than you would the traditional recipe. So to get started, we are going to be using O Organics, and O Organics for most of the ingredients, like the seasonings, you can get, because you're gonna feel great about these products. I know personally, whenever I use these products, I feel great because I'm eating well, and I'm also feeling great because the brand itself is 100% committed to delicious, USDA certified, affordable pricing for organic foods and beverages. And then also, we are going to be starting with some bacon. And then our shrimp here is also from Open Nature. And I love those ingredients as well because they are high quality. You're not gonna have a lot of process, and you're not gonna have any unnecessary additives. So that's what's key in this ingredient. So to begin, I wanna start by rendering our bacon. So if you're at home, you wanna start by dicing up your bacon, and then you're gonna add to your skillet and cook that up. And then you're gonna leave all those delicious drippings right in the pan. And then, since I've already kind of done all the heavy lifting for you here, we're gonna get started on the rest of our ingredients. I've got some chopped onion, and I'm gonna add that right into our pan, just right in with the bacon drippings, okay? You get that nice sound. That really means that you're cooking, all right? So we're gonna get that going in our pan and get all of that bacon in there and just get that deliciousness going. It looks like we have our first question here. How do you freshen up your favorite meals for spring? So one of my personal favorite ways to freshen up any meal for spring is to use what's in season. I love to cook what's in season. It keeps me motivated. It keeps me inspired, so I'm not feeling like I'm making the same recipes over and over. And then also, I really believe in using quality ingredients because I know that my recipes are going to turn out great, which is why I'm so excited to partner with Albertsons because their stuff is amazing. So we're going to cook this up. If you're at home and following along, you want to get some color on these onions, you know, really kind of let that color get in there, and then also let them tenderize. You want them to get like nice and soft. And I'm going to crank this heat up a little bit. And then also a fun tidbit for all of those. I loved hearing about, you know, Jewel Osco because I am from Chicago, and that was also one of my mainstay stores in Chicago too. So I have lots of Albertsons love around these parts. Now my Tom Thumb is right down the street, so we're winning. So once you start to get those onions getting some color, developing some color, and getting nice and softened and tender, we're going to also start to add in our garlic. Now, this is something that you want to kind of make sure that you're watching. So if you're only going to do this for about 30 seconds, you don't want to overcook your garlic or burn it. You want to make sure that you, even if it's like too hot, you want to turn that down some. So I'm going to add in some minced garlic. And I'm also going to add in some butter as well. Now, this is unsalted butter, or you can also use salted butter. I think for people who have, you know, want to keep the sodium down, that's totally up to you. You can make that decision. For my household, I have to kind of watch things for my husband that needs a lower sodium diet. So I like to use those things like, you know, keep the salt intake down. So I'm going to let that go for a little bit. Let that butter mix in with everything. You see that beautiful color developing. Let that butter get down there. Melt. Oh yeah. This is really the beginnings of your base here. So now, as that cooks, I'm going to also start to work on my shrimp here. I've got the Open Nature shrimp here, which is wild cut and sustainably sourced. And I'm going to add in some Cajun seasoning, and I'm going to add in some paprika and kind of just toss that around. You can get, ooh, that got in my nose, y'all. You can get this kind of tossed in. This is the magic of live cooking, okay? Then we're going to toss this right into the pan. And you want to also make sure that you dry your shrimp really well so it's not getting too much moisture too. I like to just pat it with like a paper towel. And then I'm going to start to let that cook too. Now, you want to watch your shrimp. You do not want to overcook them. So this literally only takes like a few minutes, okay? So just make sure that you're keeping an eye on it. Like I know people who will just let their shrimp stay in the skillet for like 10 minutes. You don't want to do that, okay? You want to just make sure that you're getting like a nice color here. You know, watch it kind of develop. As you start to see that the shrimp turns pink and, you know, gets plump in its texture, it's cooked. You know, you don't have to overcook it. You can take it right on out, and that's exactly what we're going to do. So I'm going to move this out the way. And as our shrimp continues to cook down, I'm going to take another question that has popped up here. Hello there, question. Okay. What do you like most about using store brands like these from Albertsons when coming up with recipes? So I have been developing recipes for 10 years. I cannot believe that. Grandbaby Cakes is almost 10 years old. Oh my gosh, I'm aging myself as I'm cooking the shrimp. But seriously, I cannot believe like the difference that it makes when I'm using quality ingredients in any of the recipes that I'm testing. It just makes such a massive, massive difference. So using, you know, Open Nature and using O Organics, it proves to me how much a brand that cares about their recipes can truly, you know, turn all of these things that I'm making into something quite special. So, you know, for instance, like this shrimp here, making sure that I'm using wild caught, you know, it makes such a huge difference. Or also even making sure that with O Organics that it's USDA certified. That is a huge difference too. So I have a question here about what Cajun seasoning do I prefer? Honestly, I'm gonna tell you, like I see that we used here the O Organics brand, and it's really quite nice. You can totally use that. And I also think that at the end of the day, it's a personal preference. You know, you can jazz it up or add more, you know, you can add more seasoning. Like for instance, I added more paprika. You can add some additional flavors to it. You can really plump up whatever you buy and make it your own. So here you can see that this shrimp is perfect. It's not overcooked. We've got some nice color on it, and I'm taking it right out of the skillet, okay? We do not want to overcook that shrimp because we're going to also bathe it in that sauce later on. So I'm going to take it right off of there. I'm going to leave most of that good stuff in there, and I'm going to continue on this. Okay, we have another question. And while I'm working on this, I want to get you started on the sauce. I've left most of the ingredients in. I'm going to add in some chicken stock. And once again, if you want to do something that's low sodium, you totally can. And then you can add salt as you want to. And then I'm also adding some lemon juice here because that acid and that additional citrus flavor is really going to plump up this amazing taste. So get that going. And so my next question here is, would another protein work besides shrimp? So for instance, I have done other things with, like I've done chicken over grits, I've done steak over grits, grillades, that's something that they do in New Orleans. You can do all types of stuff over grits. Seriously, you can even eat the grits alone. You can make this vegetarian. You can use all vegetables and make this sauce, and it's really, really light and delicious, and it fills you up too. So I'm gonna get that going, let that go for a little bit. We're gonna get a nice simmer on that. Look at our beautiful shrimp, by the way. Oh my gosh, do you see all that flavor? I mean, and we're almost done with this recipe. Can you believe that? Okay, we've got another question here. Is there a difference between Cajun and Creole seasoning? So I will tell you this. If you are from New Orleans, or, you know, you will definitely say there's a difference between Cajun and Creole cooking, because that is truly the difference in the mark. But in terms of the seasonings that you find in the store, they're mostly similar. They have a lot of the same ingredients, and you would do just fine with swapping either one out. So now I've added in my heavy cream, and that's gonna give this sauce a nice, luscious, rich texture. And oh my gosh, y'all, it's gonna be amazing. And it's gonna thicken it up too. So I'm cooking this up a little bit, and I'm just gonna kind of let that simmer a bit. And then I'm gonna add in some chicken bouillon. And this is a trick for me because with chicken bouillon, like, it adds so much flavor to basically everything. I love it. I put it in a lot of stuff, and you can decide how much you want to add. So here I'm going to start with just a little bit. And in the recipe, I tell you to kind of measure, you know, based on what you prefer. So you don't have to overdo it. You can kind of see what works for you. Just stir it in, and you can taste as you go along. If you like more, you can add more. I'm gonna add in some more seasoning, some more Cajun seasoning here. Sprinkle that in. And that's gonna give you that nice, you know, hint of flavor. It's got, you know, paprika, it's got that cayenne spice in it. You know, that's what you're gonna mostly find in most of like Creole and Cajun seasonings on the market. And then you're getting that nice, gorgeous flavor. Oh my gosh. Now, at this point, you will want to sort of do a test in terms of, like, you know, taste it, see if you like it, see if you need some more salt or pepper. This is when I tell people to do you. This is when you make it and tailor it based on what you enjoy. Woo! That's pretty good. I think mine is set. So I'm gonna add no pepper to this. And like I said, go in with just a little bouillon and then add as you want to. Don't overdo it. And then at this point, I'm going to turn off the sauce because it's thickened. And here's another question about the sauce too. Like, if you want to add more sauce, like my family, they love sauce. Like, so I usually double the sauce amount. So it's totally up to you. And that's really easy to do. Just double the ratios for the sauce and you can make more. So now I've turned off the sauce. I'm gonna add back in our shrimp because I don't wanna continue cooking it. So it's just, you know, add that right back in and then kind of just toss that in the sauce. Oh my gosh, y'all. This is just ridiculous. I mean, this just looks amazing. This looks amazing. And now I'm gonna add our bacon right back in. I like bacon, so, you know. And while we're talking about bacon, it looks like we have another question, but I can't quite see it. Okay, what would you use instead of bacon if you are pescatarian? Okay, so honestly, no bacon, or you could use a substitute. For instance, I have started to do a lot of vegetarian and vegan friendly recipes, and I've started using things like soy chorizo, which gives that amazing flavor, and it tastes like sausage, but it's vegan friendly, and you can use things like that and get all of that ample flavor, all of that sort of Cajun inspired flavor without it being actual meat. So here is my finished shrimp and grits here. That looks incredible. I'm just gonna sprinkle with a little parsley. You know, that's how people know you really cooked, when you add a little parsley to something. But look how beautiful that is, right? So, oh, I've got another question coming in too as we work on that. But now we gotta get to our grits. This is the part of the recipe where this, you know, comes alive, right? So before, like I mentioned, this is keto friendly. So we wanna make something that feels low carb. So instead of using grits, I am using cauliflower rice. Yes, cauliflower rice, which is frozen, organics, once again, my savior, you know, easy, perfectly affordably priced, USDA certified, I mean, and delicious. It's a win, right? So I've heated up my cauliflower rice here, and then I'm gonna start to add in my ingredients as I take my next question. What Chicago style cooking and or restaurants influenced your cooking? Let me tell you, I spent a lot of time in the kitchens in Chicago with my family, and they inspired me the most. I have learned so much just from, you know, everything that they taught me, from the recipes that we've passed down from generation to generation, to just the way they intuitively understood recipes and developed things. And, you know, before recipe developers was even like a term, like that's what my family was doing. They were coming up with recipes and ideas and creating these amazing, ingenious ways of making new dishes. And that's sort of where I picked it up. But I mean, of course, I've been to all of the top Chicago restaurants, and I have to say, at the end of the day, being in the kitchen with my family was the best teacher. So back to these grits. So we've got our heated grits here, or our cauliflower rice, and we are trying to mimic that texture and that flavor of grits. So I'm going to add in some cheese. You know, most people love cheese grits. Add that in, and make sure that your cauliflower rice is warmed through, so this can kind of all melt together. And then I've got some Parmesan cheese. And then I've got some butter, because you can't have grits without butter, not in my family at least. And then I've got some garlic powder, and I'm gonna sprinkle this in. And this is one of those things where you can just add as little or as much as you want here, and just jazz it up according to your preference. And then I've got some heavy cream. And this is actually something that I add to, you know, regular grits that I make at home. I always add heavy cream, so try that. And then we're just gonna mix all of this together. Now, if you want like a creamier texture, or if you want more heavy cream, like, you can totally add that in. This is one of those recipes where you sort of just kind of play it by key and use your preference. If you notice, I didn't add any salt to this. It's because cheese is already kind of salty, and I also used salted butter. So if you feel like you want more salt after tasting it, you know, you can totally add that in. And give this a nice mix, and make sure that everything kind of melts down and you get a nice creamy consistency here. And that's exactly what you want. And that's it for our grits. So to plate this up, you just want to take a nice kind of shallow bowl, and then you want to just add your grits to your bowl, and then add your shrimp and some of the sauce along with any bacon that you left right on top, and then sprinkle with parsley, and dinner is served. So I hope you enjoyed that recipe. Really easy, and it's also an easy recipe that you can adapt based on, your preferences. If you like more lemon, you want more of that citrus punch, you can add more of that. If you want more Cajun seasoning, heck, if you want more heat, you can add hot sauce. You can really play around with this recipe and make it your own. So, because I am grandbaby cakes, we definitely have to have dessert. So I'm going to move over to our Meyer lemon pound cake here. And it's made with olive oil, which is very different from most pound cakes, where you notice that it starts usually with a creaming process. You have butter and sugar, and you cream that together to create your cake. But in this instance, I used olive oil and also Meyer lemons, which I personally love so much. And so the cake comes out perfectly. But I add 2 separate ingredients to this cake also. I create a syrup, which I love to actually let seep down into the cake. It adds so much texture, so much richness, and so much moistness. You're really getting all of that incredible flavor just perfectly inside of the cake. And then finally, a very simple glaze with some confectioner's sugar, some heavy cream. You can also use lemon juice if you like. And then also some vanilla extract. And you just whisk all of that together. And it looks like we have another question about Meyer lemons. Like, what's the difference between Meyer lemons and regular lemons? So when it comes to Meyer lemons and regular lemons, one of the things that I've noticed personally is the difference in terms of the size. So if you go into a grocery store and you're like, oh, you'll notice that the Meyer lemons are much smaller. You'll also notice that they're different in color. They're a little brighter, a little oranger in terms of the traditional yellow tone. And then finally, the flavor is so much different. So for instance, you will notice that with Meyer lemons, they are much sweeter. They don't have that pucker, sour flavor that regular lemons have. So for me, I love to use them when they're in season because it really sort of changes things up. Okay, it looks like we have another question coming in too as we finish up our beautiful cake and our presentation here. Okay, regarding shrimp and grits, do you strain the cauliflower? I find that fresh and frozen have a lot of liquid, and I don't want it in my final dish. Yes. So if you notice that after you've, microwaved your cauliflower, because you will have like the frozen crystals of ice in there, you can use some paper towels, I personally use, and just blot it and get rid of that extra moisture if you don't want that in your final dish. Because, you want to make sure that the additional elements, like the ingredients like the heavy cream and the cheeses, really shine through instead of a lot of water content. So just blot it, just like you did with your shrimp. You want to just get all of that moisture out and then continue with the process of making it. And please keep sending your questions because we are pretty much wrapped here in terms of our presentation. And, like you mentioned before, are there other ways you could serve this? For sure, you can totally make this vegetarian. I have personally made some stir fries and additional Cajun seasoned, ingredients like this, where I've even added potatoes, sweet potatoes. Yes, sweet potatoes. They're quite delicious. Or even butternut squash when that's in season. And I've played around with what's in season and made it sort of my own. And you don't even need the shrimp if you're a vegetarian, or if you want to get rid of something else, or just play around with this recipe altogether. All right, we have another question here. Your blog name is inspired by your grandmother. What is one of your favorite family dishes that makes you think of her? Oh my gosh, I love this question. Ironically, as we were making the cake, I was thinking a lot about my grandmother because she truly inspired my entire brand. I think of her and I automatically think of cakes. Like, she was the queen of cakes. She was from Winona, Mississippi, and people would seriously stand in line to get a slice of her cake. I'm not even kidding. Like, she was famous. And whenever we would go visit her on the holidays, she would have people coming to pick up cakes from her kitchen because, you know, she was just the queen of cakes and the queen of baking in her city. And so, you know, she inspired so much of what I do and the love of what I do. And so I automatically think of cakes. Another question. I am enjoying these questions, guys. For someone getting started baking, what are your top tips for being a good baker? Oh, this is great. My first tip is follow the recipe. You guys have no idea how many times I get questions or concerns or people who have completely messed up all of their, you know, recipes that from my website because they started substituting things. You know, they started, you know, adding, oh, I used baking powder instead of baking soda. Don't do that. Like, you want to first, you know, get a command for a recipe. You really want to make sure that you can follow a recipe as written because, you know, as a recipe developer, we take a lot of time to make sure that the recipes will work in a lot of different kitchens. So follow the recipe first and foremost, and then you can sort of play around with it. And then also invest in a scale. I love to tell people that, you know, if you start to measure your ingredients, it will give you greater accuracy in the kitchen. We have another question. How well does the pound cake hold up to rum? So if you're talking about this pound cake, it will hold up great to rum because this pound cake was developed with a syrup in mind, so it seeps into the cake, so it's a nice, structured, hefty, dense cake. So it can take all of that, and it will still come out beautifully and add some delicious flavor to it. Okay, we have one more question coming in now. In my whiskey cake, I add a little pudding mix. Have you ever added lemon? Yes, I have. In fact, I have a recipe on my website that is incredibly popular. And it gets so popular around this time of year with spring. It's my ultimate lemon pound cake, and I add some lemon pudding mix to it directly into the pound cake. And the cake already is fantastic, but once you add that lemon pudding to it, y'all, addictive. It is so, so good. So maybe you guys think about trying that. It's absolutely incredible. Okay, we have a few more questions coming in, guys, and I'm going to try to get to all of them because I'm loving them. So keep them coming while we still have time. And by the way, you know, I would love to make sure that you guys understand, you know, I've brought up a few things that you should try to do, like make sure that you stick around to the end of this because there's some incredible prizes. And if you're asking all these questions about baking, you definitely want to get a copy of my cookbook. So, and also you want to get that gift card and the amazing kitchen gadgets. So definitely stay tuned until the very end here. And then we have a few more questions coming in right now, but it'll take a second. So another thing that people have asked me, you know, can you serve this over regular grits? Absolutely. If you don't want to go low carb, you can easily swap this, make your grits how you like to make your grits, and then you can add in these ingredients. You may have to, you know, alter some ratios on things like cheese and garlic powder and even, you know, your heavy cream, but it will still work flawlessly, you know, if you don't have a thing where you want to, you know, go low carb. But I will suggest to you, if you just try this once, you probably would love this, all right? Okay, so a question about the size of shrimp. I actually recommend that you use really anything for this. Like you could use, you know, in this recipe, we are using the 31 to 40 count, and that's what it's a nice plump, you know, texture. It's not too small, not like a little bite-sized shrimp, but it's also got, you know, some nice meatiness to it, which I love, but it's not too commanding. So it's a nice way to, I think, really nice really nice in this instance. All right. Oh my gosh, shrimp and cauliflower grits. Yes. Looks like we're getting some applause, you know. I hear it from here. So thank you guys so much for that. And I find that, you know, with easy dishes, people always think, yeah, it's easy and it's quick, but can you still get the flavor? And my answer is always absolutely yes. Yes, you can, because, you know, if you're using high quality ingredients like the O Organics or Open Nature, which we talked about earlier, you're getting these high quality ingredients that are USDA certified and delicious and also affordably priced, which we need about right now, right? And then, of course, you know, with Open Nature, it just makes it easier for you to make better decisions about what you're eating, because you're making sure that you're getting that high quality and you're not getting all those additional additives, and it's, you know, minimally processed, which is what we need in our kitchens. So I once again want to thank you guys, and there's some information about a promo code which I'm going to share in a moment. And I just want to continue to encourage you to, you know, have fun at the grocery store. Find things that you wouldn't necessarily use and give it like a new twist or a new way, or, you know, pick up some cauliflower rice and turn it into grits. You know, really have some fun. And so make sure that here we have a promo code right here. If you use Spring Savings, that's the promo code for online orders, or if you spend $20 on O Organics or Open Nature, you will save $5. So if you want to make this complete meal, which I urge you to do, make sure that you check out that promo code and add that so you can get that savings. So I want to just say once again, thank you guys so much. This was so much fun for me. I've enjoyed every last question. I've enjoyed cooking with all of you. This has been an amazing experience. And I want to once again thank Albertson so much for being an amazing partner in allowing me to do this. So have an incredible evening, and I hope you enjoy these recipes. Thank you so much. Oh, one more thing. The winners, yes. So from what I understand, you will receive information. You will be contacted after this. So the selecting of the winners will happen after this cooking presentation. So after the event ends, you will be contacted if you won. 50 lucky people. So once again, we will be reaching out to you, and I just want to say thank you once again. This was such a blast. Have an amazing evening.